Not so much four-wheel driving. I just wanted to go out for a cruise and decided to film some footage. So headed about 45 kilometres north of Albury to Morgan's Lookout, which is just north of Walla Walla. So you can see Albury down here. Basically, to get out there, you head out. There's a few different ways you can go, but most commonly you're going to head out this road here through out to Gerodgery and then come across through to Walla and then up to this intersection up here. And this is the access road here, which is actually on private property to Morgan's Lookout. So what's the story with Morgan's Lookout? It's a granite rocky outcrop, and it's named for Mad Dan Morgan, a bushranger from the 1860s. And this is the actual hiding spot that he used to evade police and also keep a lookout for approaching victims. Place to hide and a place to scout from. There's a picnic spot there. There's steps to the top of the lookout for easy access. It's a bit of a local attraction I thought I'd share with you guys. So let's get into it. So just driving up the access road here that you just saw on the map, it's a pretty short run, and that is Morgan's Lookout in front of us. That is the rocky outcrop.
In 200 metres, your destination will be on the left.
As you just heard from the navigator, we're not far away, and you can see the fencing for the lookout area on top of the rocks there. One of those little interesting pieces of history, and the basalt rocks like this, or granite rocks like this, are just unusual in this area, as you'll see when we get up there and sort of have a bit of a look around the countryside. It's quite unusual to see large rocks like this up on top of the nearby hills. Now, the lookout is on private property, as you probably saw in the thumbnail. It has opening hours. The gates do get shut outside these hours, so in winter when it's not daylight savings, those hours are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m, and in summer during daylight savings those hours are 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. There are flushing toilets on site, and it is day use only. It's caravan and bus accessible. There's picnic tables as well, and there are security cameras on site. So from the parking area, looking up to the lookout there's a short little walking track.
Mad Dan Morgan, as he was known. In 1847, aged 14, he left Campbelltown and was employed along the Murrumbidgee River as a stock rider. And he worked there for 7 years, although he was suspected of stock theft in the late 1840s. And his criminal record began under the name John Smith. He was sentenced to 12 years hard labour for highway robbery at Castlemaine in Victoria on June 10th, 1854. In June 1860, he was released from the prison ship Success on a ticket of leave for good behaviour. However, he failed to report to police in the Ovens district and was not heard of again until 1863, when he became known as Dan Morgan the Bushranger, using other aliases including Mad Dog Morgan. He found work as a horsebreaker and station hand in the Upper King River Valley in August of that year and stole a prize horse belonging to the Evans family. He was tracked to his camp where an altercation occurred, and Morgan was badly wounded but escaped into the eastern Riverina and western slopes of New South Wales, which would become his base, although he frequently crossed into north-eastern Victoria. From mid-1863, he was involved in several major robbery under arms, including the bailing up of Henry Bayliss, a police magistrate near Urana, and a reward of £200 was posted for him, dead or alive. 19th of June 1864, during a raid on Round Hill Station, he shot a young station hand, John McLean, who died 3 days later. On 24th of June, Morgan approached two mounted troopers and shot and killed Sergeant David McGinnity near Tumbarumba, whilst Trooper Churchley managed to escape, and the reward was increased to £1,000. In September, police were fired upon when searching for Morgan near Henty, and Sergeant Smythe died of gunshot wounds. The site's been marked by a memorial stone 2 kilometres west of Henty. Morgan frequently targeted the region's squatters, especially those who were believed to be hard masters and delighted in humiliating them. During raids, he insisted that employees be fed and given drink. At Burrumbuttock, the owner, Thomas Gibson, was forced to write cheques for his employees totalling some £400. Morgan was often nervous and his moods could swing rapidly from an almost courtly treatment of prisoners to threats, rage and violence, hence his nickname Mad Dan. On the 8th of April 1865, he held up the McPherson family at Pichelba Station north of Wangaratta, unaware that the station's co-owner George Rutherford lived close by. Alice Keenan, the McPherson's nurse, carried news to Rutherford, who rounded up his workforce, selected and armed 5 trustworthy men and sent them to watch at Pichelba Homestead along with police and armed men from the district. Next morning, as the bushranger walked towards the stockyards to select a horse to continue his flight, he was shot from behind by John Wedlin and he died. 9th of April 1865. He was buried 14th of April 1865 in the Wangaratta Cemetery.
So walking around the base of the lookout, this is just one of the natural overhangs that's thought to have been used. Some darkening on the rock there indicates maybe campfires, that sort of thing, had been used in the past. And it's quite an amazing area with these granite rocks and quite unique for the local area. I understand the site has some cultural significance to the local Aboriginal people as well, the Wiradjuri people. I'm not familiar with that story, so I'm sure there's resources you can go and look into that if that's of interest to you. So yeah, nice easy walking track with some stairs, very safe. So you can bring dogs to the lookout even though it's on private property. They just ask that you keep any dogs on lead at all time because the surrounding area is an active and working farm. Cracking views, largely flat country as you can see, which is one of the things that makes this rocky outcrop just so unusual. And yeah, the last flight of stairs up to the top there. So you can see there views to the distance, looking largely out to the east there to the range just north of Albury. Yeah, just largely flat farming country all around, so you can see why this would have been such a good lookout for Mad Dog or Mad Dan Morgan back in the day when he was preying on the local area. It is one of the higher vantage points for quite some distance, and it would have been easy for him to descend from here and attack coaches and what have you on the road. It was also a good base for him to retreat to. So just one of those interesting local spots, 45 k's north of Albury. A little different to our usual content, guys, and I'll slot this one in as a bit of a bonus video midweek. It is fairly short, and I hope you found this interesting and enjoyed the change from our usual sort of four-wheel driving content, which we'll be back to in the coming week, of course. So heading back down to the car, you can see the car park's just there, just past the base of the stairs. It's not a long walk, a few stairs. Honestly, if I can walk up here, anyone can. A little bit breezy at the time we're up here. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.